Okay, good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Orange Board of Finance. Today's Monday, June 16th. Call the meeting to order at 7:05. And we'll start by having everyone introduce themselves, beginning on my right.
Anna Mann.
John Cifarelli, Finance Director.
Joe Nuzzo.
Jim Leahy,
Kevin Houlihan, thank you.
and we have a new clock, I believe.
Yes.
It's the first night with the new clock. We have temperature and humidity probably is that other.
Item 3, public dialogue. There's no one here, so we'll move on to item 4, Mr. Nuzzo, Amity update.
Well, good evening, everyone.
Want me to fire up any of that, Joe? or I have it
You
nearby?
can, Jim, yeah.
I can give it a
Fine.
look.
Yeah, you're on there.
Give it a look.
The whole thing is fine. So we had our meeting last Monday night, June 9th, at the high school, day before graduation. I guess the graduation went off without a hitch. The weather was okay last
Yeah, it was
Tuesday.
great.
They were iffy
Lovely.
about the weather, but they waited, they made the call, and they graduated outside, which was nice. So, first item of business, Mr. Martoni and Mr. DeRosa are recommending awarding the contract for the installation of a bell, paging, and lockdown system at each middle school. That cost is just under $200,000. So we approved that to go to the board last week. So updated system, and Eastern Datacom is the vendor from the Cooperative Purchasing Program.
So is that coming out of their capital non-recurring fund, or is that general?
Yeah, so there's the budget price was $100,000 for each school, and there's a transfer request this month to move $13,406 from Amity Middle School Bethany to Amity Middle School Orange. So the difference was $13,406 total, and that was also in the back of our package for budget transfers over $3,000. But the $100,000 was already budgeted, Kev.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, $100,000 for each school.
So this was planned on,
It was already planned.
oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
So that was that for over, contracts over of 35,000 or more here. We talked a little bit about the actual budget year-to-date. So as we can see there, Jim, the net balance right now is just over $1 million, which will cover the 2%. We're not sure how much is going to increase for June at this point, but it seems like they're not going to hit their 2 million plus number that they had last year for surplus. We don't think it's gonna be that much for the month, but should be a little bit higher than $1 million, but right now it's $1 million through May. So we'll see how that goes. Favorable columns, salaries, benefits and purchase services. So the big numbers, the salaries were favorable by $375,000. Purchase services, including special ed, was favorable by $417,000. So those are the numbers on the favorable side for the expenses. So, like we always talk about, do we want to, not that we want to say that this is planned, but it just seems that this time of year, the budget really, the surplus really blossoms. Whether or not it's planned or kind of a little bit of a cushion in the budget, but this year I don't think it's going to be as much as it's been in the past, and they'll probably look for the 2% as they normally have requested and been granted from the AFC and the ABOE. But we'll see what the
Was it
total-
2% last year or 1%?
2%, yeah, 2%'s been for a while, Kev. We approved 1% years ago, but then they fought for 2, so it's been 2% for the
It's up
last
to
several
2%.
years.
Okay.
It's voted on by the Board of Education.
Yeah, like Joe said, the finance committee and the board.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be interesting to see how they
Yeah.
respond, if what you say is true, Joe, that it isn't gonna be in the $2 million surplus
Yeah.
category if it's 1 million, for example, which is, I guess, where it is right now. Because if you have 2 million and you say, hey, I wanna take 2% because we have that authorization, that's one conversation with the public. If it's 1 million and you wanna take the entire thing, because it's still the same 2%, that's another thing you're saying to the public, in my judgment. But we'll find out in the fall.
Yeah, we'll see at the next
And
meeting.
we'll also find out when they have the updated number at the end of the year. Yeah.
So another number that we always like to look at, medical and dental claims.
Were you on this page, Joe?
John,
I think you're on this page, because I saw you had.
Oh, yeah, yes, that's it, yeah, that's the
I
one
wanted
right
to tee
there.
it up for you.
Yeah, so the forecast for this year is almost 102%. So again, not much savings coming from that category this year.
No, it'll be over.
It's gonna be over. Yeah,
And that's,
Like they will
you're
in-
seeing that
yeah.
across the board now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
across the state.
It's
Yeah.
interesting, look at the actuals for May. I thought when I saw the 486, I was, for this year, which I can highlight now since it's popped open, but when I just observed it right now. The actuals for May and the other, 2 prior years, so it's interesting. I don't know what it means, other than it just happens to be, as you can see there, 486 last year, 456, and they noticeably a large month, and I don't know if it's when people provide the data, but you can also see that in October, November, and December. They're very similar to at least a couple of those years, perhaps not 2 back, but last year.
Could be end of the fiscal year visits, doctor visits for whatever
I
it
don't
is.
know.
But it's like across everything.
Yeah,
Like you see
yeah.
United Healthcare got crushed with, 'cause their projections were way off and claims were way up
Yeah.
and, you know, you're seeing it.
Yeah, the
So-
the cost of doing business and the cost of life has certainly increased and continues to increase for sure for all of us.
Okay, anything else on that one, Joe?
That was it. Yeah, those are the main items, everyone. Yeah, that was basically it.
Could you just go back to the other spreadsheet, please,
The
Jim?
Excel sheet?
Yeah, the Excel sheet. Just to point out a note about special education, in
In
terms,
this section?
yeah, right
yeah.
there, I think that's the, isn't that the 417? Yeah, right where
Oh,
you're
okay,
perfect,
all
yep,
right.
perfect, right there, with that, which is almost for 50% of the current surplus. And you notice that the tuition and transportation are the 2 largest
Yeah.
Particularly
areas.
tuition, right?
Tuition is, so,
Tuition is the 386.
yeah, and I mean, that tuition on average would be about 3 to 4 students. So that's just a matter of either bringing those students back, or the students move away, or whatever the case might be. And then along with that tuition is gonna be the transportation. So you're always gonna see tuition and transportation be tied in that respect, because when you
There's a
save
chart
on-
in the Excel, in the Word document, Anna, and maybe we can tie it together for ourselves in future looking at it. I apologize for not being quicker at it. I believe this is the chart. I think this is the tuition for VOCAG schools, and I don't know if that's all of them, Anna, or
So the
just some of
VOAG
them.
schools are not part of that.
That's not special
No.
ed? Is there another chart in here, I wonder, which would be special ed?
ACES might be,
Public ACES?
Mhm. and private ed, that's the chart.
Okay, so we can see we budgeted the 27, and the actual.
There's the 3 she said.
Is probably.
That's pretty good.
That might be done. That might be close to all of it, all right?
That's
So
it.
now, it's,
Gonna
so
be it.
when we see the special ed number, the tuition, it's the ACES is in
Correct.
the Word document,
Yeah.
that would be the tie back.
Right, the
Like-
VOAG are vocational agricultural schools that have, so those are, like Trumbull has a VOAG school and Nanawag.
Yeah,
So those are our 2 schools, cause if you're in Orange, you go to Trumbull, if you're in Bethany or Woodbridge, you go to Nanawag.
Oh,
So it depends on your region, where you are, which VOAG school you
it's
go to.
interesting, because I thought Dominic went to Nanawa.
I think Dominic went to Fairfield Prep, I thought.
No, oh, college.
Oh,
But VOAG, I think,
I was
I thought it was
saying,
Trumbull.
yeah,
I
he
didn't
would've
go
gone,
to
he
Trumbull?
would've gone to Trumbull from
Oh,
here,
okay.
yeah. But anyway, so those are, and that's just, you know, that would be, they
Yeah, I
would
was
take
talking
our.
high school, I don't know.
Yeah, and they would take our, that, you know, our tuition, or that, our per pupil expenditure, but that's not extra tuition, whereas these are, you know, the
So
cost.
Ian, it seems to me that we do a pretty good job in the district of keeping them in school.
That's the goal.
Yeah,
Of
that's
the
certainly,
special
obviously,
education
yeah, and
department.
that- again, you're seeing the savings, which is a result
It's
of
better
that.
for the kids, too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And
very-
And
very-
sometimes
Not
you
just a
can't,
cost
right?
thing,
And
right?
also, you can't always, so you can't always meet the needs of students in school, and also if somebody moves into district that you weren't planning on, that needs services, then that person might, you know, they budget for 27, you may have 30, because
Right.
there are 3
Yeah.
kids who move in that you didn't know about.
Yeah.
But that's, the goal is always to keep kids, and I
Yeah.
think that Dr. Byers has said that multiple times, that the goal is
Yeah.
always to, keep kids in school, and if not, bring them back.
When I was
But that's
teaching,
gonna
and
be-
that was many moons ago, years, decades, do they still use the word mainstreaming?
Yeah.
Yeah. so-
It's, the more, the more ubiquitous term, and the, you know, term now is least restrictive environment, so you wanna meet, you wanna have, it's the law that students have to be in the least restrictive environment to the best of the school's abilities. So that's
Oh,
the
I see,
most
okay, I see the
mainstream,
tie with the words.
the
yeah.
most mainstream they can be,
Mhm.
so.
Joe, you have
Good,
another?
yeah, we're good, thank you for that.
Good?
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe. Item number 5, Mr. Leahy, Vice Chairman's report.
Well, the only thing I could probably, I sent out this to you, when I get the files from Jen, or one of the many get them from Jen, try to summarize them, to get them out. And Joe, it's the same thing, right? This is the email that I sent out.
Yeah, it's a good email. Thank you for that.
So you can see that, some of the highlights, as noted in the email. So we're 11 months in, right? One more month to go. We could see what the surplus rose by, that 389 that we talked about. And the expense, overall expense reduction from the prior month. And there was a pretty sizable revenue increase. We might as well just go back to it, just to peek at it. I think it pretty much happened in the month. I think it happened, total revenue, yeah, it was the state grants one, right? It went up, 181 total, but the state grant, went up 168. And if you wanna tie back how that is structured, or where it comes from,
No, it's on now.
Mike,
Oh.
sorry. Mike was
do
off.
I have a out of violation
Yeah,
free
I missed
card?
that.
I might, I don't know, I might not have it. So anyway, back to seriousness. I think that 168 leads here.
Yep.
So it's the line 14, so we can kind of tie the two together now. But you can see that line 14, which is I guess it would be line 14, well, whatever. It's right over here, the 168,904. And it's a one-time appropriation. I guess what they're saying is we're not changing the reimbursement rate, but we're gonna give you some money out of some category from wherever it comes. I don't know where, but.
95%.
So they're trying to tamper down hey, we budgeted for this, but we're not changing it, at least at this moment, from the 60.
Is that equivalent to the same number that we give back to our elementary schools every year?
It may not, well, it may not be the exact number, because I don't know the
Right,
exact
right, but
number,
it's the
but
same.
it's the state
Right.
reimbursement,
That's
it's the
that-
cost reimbursement.
That's that cost reimbursement we do every September.
Which for us is
back.
just a pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Right
get it
now,
comes
I
to
think
us and we
at the
turn it back
time,
on.
Right now, I think
Yeah.
it's 123,000 for
Right.
our elementary schools.
Okay.
And the state has gone back and forth about how much they're going, because they passed that law, as it says there, they passed a law that says they can go up to 85%. They've never done 85%, and they probably will never do 85%.
They used to be in the 70s,
Yeah.
72 to 78
Yeah.
mostly, Anna.
In my time, it's been mostly in the 60% in terms of administration. I'm sure it's been more than that in various years.
Okay.
Last year, they said it wasn't gonna be more than 58% or 59%.
Yeah, I think
But
right
then they
here,
did
yeah.
this, now they're saying, don't get used to it, but we're gonna give you a little more just for this year. But we don't know how much it's gonna be for next year, so it makes it really convenient for,
30 million extra,
Yes,
didn't they,
yeah,
this year?
yeah.
And I think
Just
our
a
share-
one-time in the budget.
The orange share of it, I think, was like $2,300, so don't get too excited.
Okay, so that's one thing, and that's where the information came from that I mentioned in this update to the team. The final thing I noted, and maybe I'll put this on full screen, we can get the whole thing up there. The yellow number, which is in May, you can see the reasonably similar to last year's projected net balance or surplus, is similar in both years from May and then up to, from March up to May. For example, last year, you can see it's 1,129,780. So the increase in those 2-month period was 847,000, what you were alluding to, Joe. And similarly, this year it was 159,155, and it went up, as you can see to the left, 858,866. Last year, in the last month, that went up 952,000 in 1 month, 542. It didn't all come from medical. So I am expecting, even if medical comes out as a wash, or if you said, Kevin, it might even be a negative, right? There is likely to be an increase from that 1018 in June, based on historical. But we'll see, okay? And at that point in time,
I hope there is an increase.
the
I'm
Amity
sure
Board
there
of
will be.
Education will have to decide, oh, okay, the law permits us to spend, I guess is the right number, because they changed the wording in that 2% thing, if I remember right. So let's just call it spend. If I'm wrong, so fine. Up to that 2%. But it's one thing if the surplus is 2 million, and it's another thing if it's 1.1 million, for example, that kind of thing. So that's what I wanted to send it to you, and I sent you the copies for your files. So that's all I have for an update in this section, Kevin.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 6, discussion and review Orange Volunteer Fire Association agreement with the town and review their budget. I don't know how in-depth, John, you want to do, since we really don't have any say in this. It's done.
Maybe we just should give them, maybe we should give Anna and Joe a little history, how this came about, since the two of us and Jim
Oh,
were
I
there
edited
for-
the thing.
So,
I'll be
what,
happy to give you my edits.
what,
It's
what,
signed,
Oh, well,
What-
there's
what
some
happened-
English things. Anna would not be happy, you know.
but you can't change it. That was
Oh,
signed.
if it's a budget, we can,
what
No,
what
it's that
happened?
the actual agreement was signed, so that's, they can't change it.
You want me to explain it?
Yes.
or-
Yes,
okay.
please.
What
Oh, yeah.
basically happened was the Orange Volunteer Fire Department went to the Board of Selectmen at their October meeting and handed out a booklet that had basically their budget and finance information.
Hey, John,
And-
it was your September meeting.
September meeting, okay, September meeting. And basically said with the problems with the carnival last year with the rain and all, they're gonna have budget problems, and they're gonna have budget problems in the future. They were also looking to buy a ladder truck that was about $2.3 million. So the Board of Selectmen started having meetings with them, with the board, with Kevin, myself, and Jim, and Art Williams, and we met, I think, 3 times, and we came to this
And there were
agreement.
other Board of Selectmen members, there was
Legal.
other people from the fire department, auxiliary, I mean, it was a
Quite a few.
sizable group.
Charlie, Donnie Ferry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So what came out of it was this agreement, and which boosted our payment to the firemen for this year and next year for that.
Which
So
is in next
basically-
year's budget, right, John?
Yeah,
Right,
we,
correct.
it
We
was-
incorporated it
included
into
in the
that.
budget.
so this is a memorandum of agreement about that.
Correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
this
Well,
puts it,
what we did get out of them, from now on, we'll be reviewing their budgets. They have to give us their budgets. 90 days after the carnival, they have to give us a review on how the carnival did. And at the end of the year, they have to give us their audited financial statements. So those are 3 things we never had
as part of,
before.
yeah, because we were given 100 or whatever, and now it's
Right.
significantly more.
Right.
Right.
John, do you see, and by the way, the one about presenting the budget, they'll be presenting a budget to us. It is on page 3, items, room number 4, B and C. It's up on the screen as well. Do you see them coming in on that all-day meeting type of thing? And, which is typically, or do you want to do it at another time?
We might have them come in on the all-day meeting. They give them a half hour to
Yeah, they're
explain
right
their
across
budget.
the parking lot.
Right. I haven't really thought about it
Could
because
set
we
it
have.
up.
Okay,
we
we have
no,
a
I'm not
still-
looking for,
we have a-
this is
We have
X
still a
in
few
stone.
months for that, but.
Yeah, and we don't have the capital planning committee
Right.
anymore, so we free up time in the afternoon. from that.
Right. They're actually gonna change their budget year. They talked to Kevin and I, and they're gonna go from a calendar year to a fiscal year like
Well, it took
us.
me a while to figure that out from reading this today, that they're on a calendar year.
And I'm also gonna ask the chief for, updated budgets every month, and I'll give them to you even if we don't discuss it, just so you have them.
Okay.
And this one's a little old already. It's through March, and we're almost 3 more months into their year, so.
John, regarding the carnival, I think on page 5, if I saw this right, I think it's 100 days.
100 days, yeah.
Okay, which, for this year, that will end on, since the carnival ends on the 3rd, I added it up the days, so it's Grenade close, but it'll be in November 11th, you should have that.
Veterans Day.
We'll probably have it for our December meeting.
Okay, I'm just letting you know, I did the numbers.
As we've seen, they keep some pretty detailed records on the carnival.
Yes.
John, does this seem like we're moving towards a paid fire department in the near future?
I don't know if it's the near future, but at some point in time, there are other, besides, I think they actually signed a contract for the 100-foot ladder now. I'm not sure what the price was. The other thing they're gonna be looking for at some point in time is a new firehouse to replace the firehouse that's right here. The new equipment won't fit in through the doors there. And that did come up in the meeting also.
You want a whole new house, firehouse, yeah.
So this document we have here, John, that I happened to flip through, is this one that everybody got, or did you just make me a copy?
No, everybody's got that.
Everybody has
Is this
got
something we're
that
gonna go
tonight
through
and
for any
everything.
reason, or Kevin?
I think it's just informational, but if anybody had comments.
If anybody has any comments or questions, you could send them to me and
Yeah.
I'll send them on.
Well,
to
I
them
have an
and get
observation that I think we should share in public. Because one of the things they have in total expenditures, page 3 of total expenditures of $1,324,410. Well, over 50% of that total expenditure is the command vehicles, right up above there, a little bit at the top of the page, middle of the page there. So I just wanted to point that out. Which makes sense, because that would
That-
mean that they would have.
The down payment
I
on that
think
truck.
that's right, I think that's the down payment on the
So what
truck.
they have for a budget absent that vehicle is about 600,000, maybe.
I think, did he tell me, or was both of us there? I think he said the vehicle would be 5 years that they were gonna pay it over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, then I don't have to
John,
have
the
anything
budget's
more
short
than
about
that.
$700,000, taking it from the savings.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
But
they
really,
have investment
really,
accounts.
it's taking it to pay for the
The
down
truck.
payment
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
truck,
So
though.
you're really shifting one asset to another.
Yeah.
It's not like going out. And while we're on that, they have, was it this Saturday, they're doing a
This
big
Saturday.
apparatus and car show
Car show,
at the High Plains Community Center.
free to the public. If any of the public would like to come out, we'll push it.
What are the
Yeah.
hours?
The cars are coming from all over. They're paying a fee to
Show,
pull on the
basically,
show,
yeah.
to put on the show.
And what time, John, Saturday?
Uh,
You know,
Yeah,
9
that
to-
I
9
don't
to
know.
3,
I would
or-
say-
Job,
I would say
Joe, we
10
may
to
have a
5,
job for you
yeah.
here, hold on.
Let's go.
I got an email,
Check
I'm
the-
on their mailing list.
check the volunteer fire department website for the
Yeah,
time.
or their Facebook page.
hopefully they'll be able to have it.
Joe, this may
Hopefully it
be
won't
for you.
rainy.
Go ahead.
Because
Okay,
they
I'm
won't
giving
bring
you
their cars.
first,
You're right.
first dibs on
There it
this.
is. Good job.
Anna's and
Yeah.
Anna's on deck and Kevin's in the
12
hole.
to noon, 12 to
All right,
4.
they're looking for some help, 12 to 4. They use some help in the morning setup and registering the vehicles. Now, this went out to the OVFD membership, of which I guess I'm an affiliated member, I guess it is. So if you wanted to help, contact Bond, go to the website. We could need some help, basically selling swag, if you're a salesman type, Joe, I think you're right up your
Right up
alley.
your alley, Joe.
Is it interfering with golf, Joe?
No
I
golf,
mean,
I said.
okay,
Family business.
okay.
So
there
that
we
was
go.
12 to 4. Let's
12 to
repeat
4,
that
right,
one
yeah.
more
Yeah.
time.
12 to
12 to
4,
4
yeah.
at the community center,
There you
Fairgrounds.
go. Okay.
All right, then we'll move on to item 7, discussion and approval of minutes from May 21st, 2025, special meeting.
All right, Johnny, you batting lead off?
Yeah, hold on 1 second here. I don't think I had much. Actually, Oh, last page, very last page. Second paragraph in there, Mr. Leahy made a motion to approve the amended minutes for April 22nd.
That should go in both of those, and that was the only edit I had as well, John.
Oh, yeah, the top one.
The top one as well, Deb.
And that's all I had.
Is there a discussion of this memo that we received, the $39.71?
We can do that with the budget after we do this.
So is there any other adjustments to the minutes?
No.
Okay, is there a motion to approve as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Jim. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Should I abstain because I wasn't there?
Probably, I think.
Joe, you
Yeah.
abstain too?
No, he was,
Was that,
You weren't
No,
there.
you weren't there either.
oh, so you want to get a quorum, you get a quorum?
Yeah,
I
we're
know.
okay.
You okay?
Yeah, we're okay.
Abstains are okay.
Okay, so we
good,
both
okay.
abstained.
Just checking.
Oh, 1-0, it's a
2-0-2.
close one. Close vote at the Orange Board of Finance on the review and approval of minutes.
All right, item number 8, to review revenue and expense reports for June 2025.
May I make a suggestion on the revenue? And that's why I had gone through this morning, because John makes copies for me. I thought this was a great job that you did here, John, okay? And this is the one I sent out, and I can put it up on the screen for everybody. And I apologize, I didn't get the PDF from John, so when I finally figured out, I called John, but he was out, so I just decided to make a PDF at my house and send it to you guys. So that's how come you're seeing with my notes on it. I didn't realize until I got to page 4 that John had summarized all the yellow markings and pencil markings, but the way I was reading it, as a way, not to tell you I was reading it, but to get all of you and the audience involved. All right, everything from the left over here to over here is where we are this year. This is an estimate as of the end of February by our treasurer, Art Williams. And this is some information about last year, last fiscal year, 23-24. So here we are. So what John does is he goes through this, if I were to put a little summary on it, and highlights where, I'm not so sure we'll get out of buildings and permits all of that 52 million, so he highlights it in red. And then he then pencils in minus 50 as he goes. So you kind of have almost a developing worksheet of John's thoughts as he is going, okay? Now, what I started to do in the middle of the page, not knowing what was on the 4th page then, I think there's a learning for me here, that, you know, I said, oh, it looks like we're not going to get 558 from the tax collector. We're going to get less than, whatever. So I was doing some stuff. Anyway, all through this document, there's that. There's page 2, there's page 3, there's page 4. And what you see on page 4, if I could, I don't know if the header's good on page 4. I guess it isn't, John. So let me just ice the header up here. Unless it doesn't repeat. Yeah, here it is. So what you have where this cursor is, right here, is by section of category, assessor, building, planning and zoning, where we're going to be over or under budget. And so what this would be saying at the very, very end of things, including all of it at the back of the first page, is we will be going there here myself to see my own copy. We would be over budget in revenue, that's a good thing, right? Because we had revenue, the budget was 83,615,766, but the treasurer's estimate at that moment in time is 85,317,382 and 8 cents. So we're going to be $1,500,000 over budget in revenue, very good thing. John's highlights were, you probably remember seeing that in the first page, 50 grand, 8 grand, 200 grand, etc. He starts saying to himself, well, I'm not confident of every one of those, but adding up my lack of confidence, I have 280,200. So subtracting that from this 1,000,001, and that says, as of now, my estimate, J.M., is that an M, John? What's that stand for, Michael?
Michael,
How did I guess Italian? 1,021,416, all right? We'll see, right? We got another month, then we have the audit, okay? But I thought this would be, Kevin, a good one to kind of ground us on what the overall
which
number is.
basically our revenue collection is gonna pretty closely match what we took out of the fund balance for
As
this
I
year.
say, yeah.
Hopefully, I'll be wrong by about 200,000 and we'll match.
Okay,
Then we can
Go
put
up-
it, put it back,
Jim,
we don't take
let
it
me-
out.
Let me explain one thing to you guys, so.
you
if
go back in
up-
it, John?
Go back up to the tax collector area,
Yep,
and you see,
okay, let me make this larger so we
Well,
can see the numbers
okay.
better at home.
specifically, you gotta move the page up a little bit, please.
Yep,
Let me just point something out there.
Okay.
That motor vehicle, that
Yes.
177.
yes,
We're not gonna get that because we refund motor vehicle taxes throughout the year and it runs through that account. So I don't know what the actual number is, but I know we've probably done $100,000 through the year.
Of returning money.
Yeah, people sell their cars or go out, and I'll explain this to you. They go out and buy a new car, they put a new plate on the car. They don't turn in their old car to motor vehicle. It generates a tax on that car. They get a tax bill in the mail. Well, by state law, they have to pay that tax bill even though they don't have a car, to have that car anymore. Then they have to go through the assessor, do the paperwork, go through the tax collector, do the paperwork. Then the paperwork goes to the Board of Selectmen to approve the refund. And then my office cuts them a check. So it's a whole process there that they have to go through. And we go through months where we're sending out 50 or 60 checks to people, especially after July, when they start doing it again. September and October are really big months, and especially cars that are leased.
So moral of
Oh,
the story is
okay.
turn in your plates.
Turn in your plates,
So you
or
don't
put
get a
them,
bill.
or put them on the new car,
Put
where
'em on
then
the
it
car, right,
automatically
transfer your
generates the credit.
or
You don't wanna give
you
your
buy
money
a car
away.
in 2011
And
and you're
keep it.
still driving it.
Yeah, you keep it,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
So that-
Joe, it is at 317, or, yeah, it's running great.
The other thing there, the supplement motor vehicle that shows, 776 collected, $800,000 in bills went out there. So there's not much to collect in supplemental left. And we estimated 600 at the time, because we don't know what that
Yeah.
is gonna be.
Okay. Oh, okay, so that's a kind of an unknown, okay. You wanna talk about any of the others to us, John, just give us a flavor, or maybe,
My deductions, I think, are pretty good, like.
like
where
you took
have-
50 off the permit buildings, for
Yeah,
example.
I mean, there's nothing really going on in town right now. To get 50,000 in permits and 30 days left, it's not gonna happen, really, it's not gonna happen. Same thing with the conveyance fee on the town clerk's office, unless we get some really huge sales for the last 30 days, that's not gonna happen.
That happens immediately, John, there can't be stuff in queue, or no, it happens
That's when the
immediately.
closing hits,
Right.
once we get paid.
Right,
All right, let's go to page 2, and you can educate us what you see.
okay, nothing really there.
Oh, you took 50 grand, oh, that's still the same
That's
one.
the permits
Oh,
that we
okay.
talked about.
You took 200,000 off of the tax collector, okay. You took 50 grand on the clerk, that was the conveyance, right?
Right, and some of those other
And a
recording
little
fees.
smidge there,
Yeah.
okay. We can.
Same thing with the fire marshal, he's not gonna collect that kind of money in 1 month.
Okay, you were questioning the refuse, what, the 38 type of thing?
Yes, those are people that come into the dump and get charged for whatever reason, that's not gonna happen.
Okay. You took 50, well, I think I'm goofing this up here.
making me a little dizzy.
Yeah, it's making me dizzy, believe it. You don't think we're gonna get pool memberships of $6,000 when we had,
No,
7,800 for the first, 10 or 11 months? Okay.
no, you
Yeah.
had 14 for the first 10 or 11
Yeah,
months.
okay. Similarly, the permits and food service type of thing, is that what you're thinking?
Yes.
Okay,
That one, we have a little problem every year because those bills go out at the end of June, and most of the money comes in the new year.
oh, okay. Well, that gets picked up by the auditing and you guys and
Right.
stuff, right? Okay. And last call on this page, it looks like, there's the excess cost, 143. Very similar
Right.
number, like you
And
said.
he's backed that out already,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
I think I
Okay.
said 123 earlier, it's 143.
okay. All right, so that's a view of revenue. Do we need to go through this other revenue report in light of what we just did?
I don't think so.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
more detailed.
Good. Expense report then. I don't know how to get, John, talk to us about the summary, which is back on over here. So what are you thinking is gonna happen here? I mean, we've got,
We may get a $500,000 out of here when all the invoices are in there done. We still have 2 payrolls. We have a payroll this week.
right,
That's about 400,000, and then we're gonna have a accrual for the next payroll because all the days are really in June, but it's paid in July. So there's an entry that Art has to make for that.
right. I'll tell you what, let's go once again across the top of the categories, and I'll play, I don't have to try to play devil's advocate, as I will be a devil's advocate. I see the budget 83,815,766, that's the same one we just saw over here in revenue, makes sense. Then we start seeing transfers, which increase that to a revised budget.
Those are encumbrances from previous budgets.
Okay. All right, so the actual budget still is the
Right.
83,815,
Right.
okay. So then the math just brings you to the other number, 85,538, 486. Then it looks like we've already expended 84,381,
Correct.
and it looks like we're gonna overspend.
No.
Well, then help me understand what this,
Now, remember, there's that 3 million in there, go below the 3 million.
Right.
We're at 2,000,006 right now.
okay,
Because of the way we have to book that 3 million that goes over to capital.
right,
It forces this into negative, but it really isn't
Okay,
negative.
so you're
That's
saying-
why I backed it out in both spots there.
so what we've expended year-to-date is really 81,380.
Correct.
301, 409.
Correct.
And then you toss the 1568, 162, and 91 cents, and we get this number over here, 2629 now?
2629 is still the money to expend from the current year budget.
Oh, so if I took this 83,815 and minus that, I get this number here?
Probably not, because you still have those encumbrances in that number from previous years. That 1722 is in
Yeah, but I
part of
started
that.
this over here. That didn't have those.
No, but that number, whatever is spent out of that number
Oh,
is
I
in the
see.
81,341.
Okay, roger that. So how do I look at this sheet and get a feel for where we are in relation
For
to?
the current budget,
Yep.
you still have 2.6 million to spend. That number over in the far right-hand column is the number that still hasn't been spent from the current budget.
Okay, so when we look back on big items, we know that both of the school systems have already got their money. So that's a good news thing in terms of, oh my God, are we getting another payment here?
Correct.
Right?
But
So,
we show this is the full Amity, not the full minus the 514, because the 514's in revenue.
revenue, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right.
yeah.
We're not,
Right.
Right, so you're thinking that your best guess, we know the Yankees gonna be in the World Series, but your best guess is that we will come in about 500,000 short of this 83,815?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe 83,300, plus or minus 100, 200,000.
Yes.
Thank you.
That'll be good.
It'll get us back to the money that we took out of the fund
can put it back.
balance, Right.
Yeah,
Well, it's gonna flow back and then we could put it in capital or leave it where it is.
Right, right. I
Right?
mean, there's a couple of areas in the budget where we've gone over, but overall, I think we did a pretty good job.
Well, the boards are happy with the budget.
All four of them.
Yeah. I saw in the last minutes about UNH leaving.
Yes.
What happened with that, John? If you just give us a minute on what happened to UNH. What was the,
I believe what they're doing is they're finishing up their classes there, and they're probably gonna look to sell the property, and they're moving back to the main campus. As you saw in the paper, they bought the railroad salvage site, and they're planning on turning that into classrooms and
what CBS property too?
that
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
so. And they also bought the old baseball field down there
you
from
bought
the
Quigley?
city.
Yes, that's
No,
right.
no, not
Oh, no.
Quigley, it's another field on First Avenue that they bought.
Yeah,
that
nobody's
hasn't
used
been
that field for
used.
years.
Right,
Okay,
Yeah, so they have a lot of land, so they're gonna keep everything closer.
okay.
they wanna stop the buses that
Yeah.
keep running between here and Derby Milford Road, and they run, I think, till 11 o'clock at night, and they're in.
Makes sense, we just have to see who the buyer is.
Yeah, hopefully they're a good one.
I think there's 40 or 50 acres around that,
That's a huge campus.
yeah.
Can you build houses there, John? Will you let them build houses? They change zoning.
It's
change
zoned, it's zoned for that probably, but I understand the ground, the ground isn't, level and stuff, so I don't know what you can do.
Because we bought the other piece as open space.
Right.
When it was the whole
Right,
thing.
right. Also, the drainage project did start on Derby Milford and Glenbrook. It started last week. If you want something to do some night, take a ride up there and see the size of the pipe they're putting in. The pipe is, well, maybe not you, but you're a little over 6 feet, right?
I'm just under.
Well, then you can make it also. It's six.
The rest of us are
it's
short.
6 feet if you walk through from
Oh, yeah?
the one end to the other in the center. I mean,
We could
there-
walk right through the pipe.
You can walk right through the pipe.
and this replaced another pipe?
This is trying to solve the drainage problem up there.
So that already
Did it not
started, I
have a
thought they were
pipe?
doing engineering, so did that go out to bid and everything?
Yes, yes. $2.5 million. We've already encumbered the money for it. $1 million's
That's
coming
what I
out of
thought, 'cause
ARPA.
somebody asked me about it, and I said,
Right. I mean, the pipes are huge, huge.
What I was trying to get to, John, is it replacing an earlier pipe, or is this a whole new?
I think it's all new. I think there was a pipe partly up there, but it's either clogged or.
How big was
houses
it? I
in-
was really-
Probably big enough to put your hand through.
Oh, okay, so, yeah,
yeah, massive flooding issues.
Mm.
Okay,
okay.
item number 8,
So
Joe.
moved.
motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second?
Second by
All right.
Anna. All those in
All good.
favor? Aye. Opposed, unanimous, meeting adjourned at 7:49.